Alright, hail and welcome everyone to this week's very special episode of Midgard Musings. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Jesse and I'm the host here on this channel. Every week, normally, barring some inclement, ailments of the body, as you could say. Last week's episode was canceled due to the fact that I had gotten a really bad stomach bug, so I apologize. But this week, hopefully we'll make up for it because we're going to be talking today about Yule. And so I'm really looking forward to this discussion. Really appreciate you tuning in and watching. If you haven't already, please take a moment to become a subscriber to this channel. This channel is kind of dedicated to any sort of Norse heathenry related topics of discussion. And we got a few different playlists on here on the channel that you can check out. Some storytelling type things. There's a Havamal discussion. There's a deity discussion. Just check out the playlists and the details of this channel and see if it's something that you like. And if you do, give those videos a thumbs up. Give me some feedback down in the comments. Subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. And I would greatly appreciate that. So as is customary, before we actually get into the meat and potatoes of the discussion, I always like to light a bit of incense and a candle. So we will get these things fired up and going. And so we are right in pretty much, today is the 23rd of December. And we are kind of, for a lot of heathens right now, in the middle of the Yule festivities, or the Yule season. And the purpose, I guess, of this video today is not so much to get into the depths of the historical parts of Yule, because there is just so much about it that if I was to literally spend that much time on the historical parts of Yule, then this video would probably go into the hours rather than the minutes. So if you're interested in checking out some historical parts of Yule, check out some of the annotated cards that you'll see floating up in the top corner of this video, and also down in the description, because I'm going to be linking some really interesting things that I think everybody should be checking out, especially when it comes to Yule specifically, and check out those respective channels. We're going to see some linked videos for Dr. Jackson Crawford. We're also going to see some linked video, or at least a linked video, maybe a couple linked videos for Eric Wordweaver Shervin. He does a really awesome weekly video on his YouTube channel called The Raven's Call. I definitely encourage everybody that watches my channel to please check out those channels, because there is a deep well of knowledge with those individuals. So anyways, Yule, right? So this time of year, for many heathens, we get into celebrating Yule. And what exactly does that mean? You know, we have a lot of new heathens that may be coming around and don't necessarily know how to celebrate Yule or what to do during Yule. And so what are we actually talking about? So Yule is a celebration, sort of the midwinter celebration of welcoming in the warmth and the light that had been gone, or that had left, or that had been waning previously, right? So we've reached a sort of point in this time of the year where the days will progressively get longer. You know, the sun will become warmer, things will be coming to life here soon, relatively soon. And so the celebration of Yule was to welcome in the light, or the warmth of the sun, and to bring in the harvest seasons, right? Up until this point, what we had that came around previously, at least for a lot of us Norse heathens, we recognize the winter nights, the coming of winter nights, which sort of ushers in the dark and the cold months of the year. And winter nights is often recognized recognized to be brought in during or with the wild hunt. The wild hunt being the host of Odin's soldiers from Valhalla, who come and they sweep through Midgard, picking up the dead and things like that. So it tends to be a very tumultuous time, very, I guess, violent time, so to speak. And so in this time of year, from winter nights leading up to Yule, it's a very harsh and very unforgiving sort of time of year. So Yule is a time where heathens gather together. We look inward to our hearths. We look inward to our tribes, our kindreds, our clans, our various collectives, however you want to label them or however you want to call them. And we look inward. We focus inward. We look to have gatherings with one another to establish, frith, or to build and to build that frith with our tribes and with our kindreds. It oftentimes includes the exchange of gifts this time of year. It's very similar to the modern tradition of Christmas, and that's something that a lot of heathens nowadays seem to want to get into a little bit of a battle about, some debate about, in terms of, well, Christmas, you can't have, if you're a Christian and you're celebrating Christmas, you're actually celebrating pagan practices, blah blah blah. I'm not here to really enforce or encourage that sort of approach for this particular video right now. There's many different things that you could argue that are Christian traditions nowadays that have their roots in pagan or heathen origins. We all know it. So the fact is that Yule for me is a time to focus inward and focus closer to our family, our friends, our hearths, our kindreds, our tribes. Now, and how Yule is celebrated amongst heathens nowadays, we'll get a lot of questions. Guys, I'm a new heathen. I'm kind of new to this path, and I want to know, what should I do to celebrate Yule properly, if you will. And I feel like that's a loaded question, because how Yule is celebrated or how Yule is observed is very different, and it can largely depend on the traditions of the tribe that you may be connected with, or the group of heathens that you may be connected with. And it also has to depend on if you're sort of a solo practitioner and you haven't really tied yourself to a tribe or a clan or anything like that, and it's you're trying to build a tradition of your own. So for me personally, just to kind of give some people some feedback a little bit in terms of how do you celebrate Yule, what do you do? Me personally, I observe Yule in a 12-night format, the 12 nights of Yule, and this for me usually starts on Mother's Night. The Mother's Night celebration kicks off the Yule season for me and for the ones who I'm close with, my family. And so after that, the 12 nights of Yule, I just, my tradition and with my own family is we exchange a gift per night, so we have a gift that we get for each night of Yule, and on each night we exchange those gifts. Now, in terms of how Yule is often celebrated traditionally or more historically, you're going to have some what we quite often refer to as the hardcore Reconstructionist types of heathens who are very devoted into revisiting or reconstructing the religion of their ancestors and living and practicing that specific way of heathenry or whatever nowadays in modern times. I'm not quite fully on that particular path. Me personally, I like to glean from the historical parts and use those things to help build my heathen practice in modern times. So for those hardcore recons that want to traditionally follow the Yule practice, you'll probably see that a lot of them don't follow this 12-night Yule sort of approach, and they will instead observe Yule on 3 nights. And the reason for that is due to, in Heimskringla, which is a collective of the stories of the kings of Norway, in the saga of Håkon the Good, there's a lot of information there about how the Yule festivities were celebrated at that time. So Yule was a 3-night long thing. It was 3 nights or however long the ale lasted, but it was, at least for what we can tell historically speaking, it was at least a 3-night long sort of event. So you'll see a lot of people that may approach it that way and celebrate Yule on 3 consecutive nights. It's also a lot of heathens will do as much as they can to not work, take time off from their jobs, things like that during the Yuletide seasons because it was considered a very, sacred time of year, and to cease from doing any work during that time, that can be attested in the saga of Håkon the Good. So there's, if you're able to and you can, like for me personally, I'm off for the next couple of days for my job, so that works out well. Some of the other traditions are the swearing of oaths during Yule, because it's considered that the oaths you swear during this time hold an extra or added weight. Oaths have always been something that in Norse heathenry specifically are very, very important to uphold and to keep. If you're an oath breaker, it's generally looked down upon. But the oaths sworn during Yule are particularly powerful and are particularly important to make sure you uphold. And these are quite often sworn on the ham or the boar that is roasted for the Yule feast, and quite often on something of some similar imagery of this, an oath ring. Okay. So for instance, I told you earlier that I do a 12-night Yule celebration. In addition to that, or I guess to add to that, I do and will be hosting a Yule feast on a specific night. A lot of tribes, a lot of kindreds will do that sort of thing. They'll actually have a collection of their heathen tribe to come and actually celebrate Yule on one specific night. During that time, there will be a bloat, quite often, a sacrifice or an offering to the gods and ancestors. This time of year, Odin is particularly powerful, I guess you could say, because of the whole winter nights thing with the wild hunt. His presence in Midgard is particularly stronger this time of year. So Odin is quite often sacrificed or offered to. Freyr or Freyr is quite often sacrificed or offered to because of the upcoming, the longer days. The harvest season is coming, and you want to appeal to him for a good and bountiful harvest season. And for me personally, like for this year, our Yule feast is dedicated to Odin, Freyr, and Frigg, because of Odin for obvious reasons, and Freyr for obvious reasons, and then Frigg because this is the time of the hearth and the home. We are looking inward. We are focusing more on our kindreds and our tribes this time, and Frigg tends to have a very strong influence over the hearth and home. So in your practices and in your approach to Yule, these are some things that you maybe can consider. After the bloat to the gods, there will be, we'll have a feast of food. It's going to be kind of a potluck thing. Everybody brings something. Everybody contributes something to the hall, and then after that, there will be sumbel, which is basically another ritual form of toasting to the gods. And the ancestors and the land wights, the landvitir, things to do to bring good and blessings to the tribe or to the clan, whatever your collective of heathen group you may be calling it. And then during Sumbel, there's toasts to the gods, toasts to the ancestors. A lot of times, you will see a 3-round approach to Sumbel, where there will be toasts, boasts, and oaths. So you can toast to the gods and you can toast to your ancestors, and then you have a moment where you can boast about the things that have been accomplished of this year, and then the oathing part, which seems similar to sort of the New Year's resolution, if you will, for the upcoming year, to swear oaths to accomplish things in the upcoming year or the upcoming season. So there's so many different traditions that kind of come along with this Yule feast or this Yule celebration. There's so many different things that, based on your tribal traditions or your own personal traditions, you can establish certain things, with the people around you, with yourself, that will establish how you celebrate Yule. But for me and for the people around me, Yule is something that I look to as being something that we focus on our tribes and our collectives, our communities, if you will. Everybody's going to celebrate Yule differently. I don't feel like there's one right way to Yule. if you will. There's no one right way to heathen. You know, different people will say different things about how you are to be a certain way, and I feel like we're not in really any position to say that one way is the right way. You know, how you celebrate Yule, how you honor the gods, how you bloat to them, how you offer to them, whatever. If it works for you, and if it works for the tribe, and if the luck of the tribe is benefited through those actions, then by all means continue doing it. As you know, I've linked some videos for Eric Wordweaver Shervin's channel. One thing you'll notice if you watch any of his videos is this really cool thing that he has an approach to is not my hall, not my call. You know, so I'm not here to say that if you're doing something one way and I'm not doing it that way, then you're wrong and I'm right, or anything like that. It's if it works for you and if it works for your community and you get good luck from it by doing so, continue on doing so. So this was just my little bit of this Yule approach. Now, one other thing that I really hadn't thought of until just now, as we get to the closing of this video, is one thing that I've always kind of associated this time of year with is merriment and enjoyment, and you're having a good time with your fellow heathens, your tribe, your clans, whatever you want to call them. You know, it's a time of lightheartedness, it's a time of warmth and welcomeness. You know, you want to, enjoy the time that you have with your kin, with your tribes, things of that nature. So, in light of that, I do want to bring a bit of levity and a bit of enjoyment and a bit of merriment from my tribe to yours, right? You guys can see, got this really cool knitted cap with some horns on it. It's Yule, everybody. Look, you can be all historical, the Viking, this and that. Look, this was actually a gift from a very a friend of my wife's, a very close friend of my wife's. She got this for me because she's like, she knows I'm into this whole Norse thing, and she's like, you need this. And I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely right, I do. This is perfect. So, everybody, from my hearth to yours, everybody here watching live on Facebook, go with Yule. May the gods prosper, give you prosperity in the upcoming year. May your ancestors walk and smile with you in the upcoming year. And may the oaths that you swear this Yule season, may you hold them to yourselves. May you honor your oaths. So thank you guys so much for watching tonight. Everybody that's watching live on Facebook, stick around, because I know there's a bunch of discussion in the comments that I want to kind of touch upon. Everybody that's watching on YouTube, please, if you haven't already, become a subscriber. There's going to be a really cool floating logo right here that you need to click on. Once you click on that, you are a subscriber. Check out some of the related content that you see floating around up here as well. Check the YouTube, the Facebook page down in the description below. All the ways that you can support Midgard Musings. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next week in next week's video. You guys don't go anywhere. Hail, Skull, and God Yule to all of you.